Welcome, everybody, to another great episode on health, wealth, and relationships with
Tisa
and Grant. How you
Good
doing,
morning.
Tisa?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday once again.
Happy Thursday.
We're in the last Thursday of July. So this summer has gone by fast, don't you think?
I think it's drug out in the last couple of weeks because it's been so hot.
But then today is beautiful. I think we're going to have those Indian summers or whatever they call them, where we just spike in the heat. I think we'll go up and down with that. But I don't want to complain, because when it's over, I'm gonna be like, it's cold and I don't want to do nothing. I'm trying to like.
No. That's when you travel. That's when you got a jet. It's time to go to other new adventures.
Yes. Which leads us into our topic. Traveling. Are we there? Oh, okay. We're talking about healthy summer traveling. And when you're talking about healthy summer traveling, we're talking about people that need to be conscious of just what travel is. First of all, traveling should be exciting. It should be enjoyable. It should be restful, and it shouldn't be stressful. So We're trying to be proactive on the stress level, because travel can be stressful, right? When you're going through flights, depending on how you travel, right? And so if you can be prepared for your travel, the less stress you'll be. Right.
I'm sure a lot of people are like, I wish this came on like last month, because they probably did a lot of traveling. Like, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Yeah. Sometimes it can be a little harrowing.
Especially when we've had so many delays, right? So this just kind of, and there's still a lot of travel left. Like I still got a vacation coming up in October, and people are still traveling. So if we miss you, just be ready for the next trip. If you and some of you people are learning from the trips, like after the fact, like what should have happened. So
this what you should have brought with you or left at home.
Exactly. So in terms of healthy travel, we want to talk about making sure you're prepared before you go. And so that'll reduce all the stress. And a lot of people wait last minute to pack. So that's going to cause you stress. So if you're one of those last minute packers, like, be prepared. I'm an old Boy Scout troop leader, and our motto for the Boy Scouts is always be prepared.
That's right.
So I always tell my boys that. I was like, what did I teach you in Boy Scouts? Always be prepared. And so this is where that really comes into play in terms of reducing your stress when you travel, right? So get ready ahead of time. You're ready ahead of time, and make sure you're in the mindset that your travel should be joyful, but you got to be prepared so it won't become stressful.
100% on that.
Okay. Be prepared before you leave. So I'm speaking to those of you who are on medications. I wish I could take a poll of how many people are on medications, because I think, what percentage you think of people that are on medications? Probably 50 and up.
Oh man. Well, 50 and up, I'm going to say at least half. And that's probably low. Yeah.
And that's probably low. I'm gonna put that in the 80% range. I'm gonna put that in the 80% range. I think everybody I know that is our age, which is in the 60s, is on some type of medication. Almost everybody.
Not me.
You're not, and I'm not, but I think we're at 20%, because I really think 80%. Something, right? Something, some kind of medication.
But you got to do what you got to do. So don't act. You got to do what you got to. Stay healthy. Stay healthy.
Well, and so I'm speaking to those who are on medication, because you're the people who need to be prepared when you travel. Because if you have medications, you got to make sure, number one, you schedule your refills early. Because what you don't want to do is get a trip, you get everything else ready, and then you look in your pill box and you got like a week's worth, So you want to make sure if you trip, you don't wait to refill. Some people get automatic refills. So if you're on that, great. But double check your refill. Pack enough medication, and extra medication. As some of you might have experienced those delays, you might be delayed an hour, you might be delayed 2 days.
A couple of days. You never know. That is so true.
So if you got one of those medications you got to take in the morning and in the evening, all I'm saying is pack enough. So if you got delays, you don't run out of medication. So that's real key, because you don't want to get somewhere just because of a delay, and then all of a sudden you go into a medical situation because you don't got your meds, right?
Yeah.
So when you travel, you want to keep all your medications with their original labels. So they don't let y'all just travel around with your medications. You got to have it in the original bottle with your name and the original labels on it, because you don't know what you're traveling with. You might be traveling with cocaine in a pill bottle or something.
Yeah, you got to be careful about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they check that stuff. And when you going on a trip, you have to list those medications. So they check it all. So you can't just be traveling around with a bunch of pills, a bunch of drugs, and be like, hey, that's my medication. They're going to want you to have it in the original bottle with the original labels on it. So they can even check the doctor if they need to see if that's all real medication. And then you got to list it before you get on like a plane or on a boat. I know they make you do for the boat. So it's like traveling with contraband a little bit. You got to have it listed and you got to have it ready and available in its original containers. Like a lot of people use pill boxes. When you travel, you have to put that back in an original bottle. So the pill boxes don't work if you're traveling. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and put up that checklist, Grant. I'm going to go. Some of this stuff is on this checklist. Make sure you ask your pharmacist, how to handle different time zones. If you are, again, taking pills and you have to take it at 9 o'clock every morning and you're going to, where's somewhere that's 3 different times, Jamaica or somewhere, there's at least 2 or 3 hours.
At least
different.
1-2 hours there. You go to Africa, you had 6 hours there from Omaha. I'm saying, like, we're right in the middle. So you go to Miami, I think it's like 1 hour. You go to LA, I think it's 2 hours. So just be aware of that.
Yeah. Be aware of the time change difference again, because that's going to dictate how and when you take your medication. So people don't think about that. It's like, oh, I'm usually taking it at 9. Well, when you get somewhere else, it's noon. It makes a difference. So make sure you're aware of your time zones. And here's a checklist we want to just kind of give you guys, and we'll have this listed in our folder for recurring information for you guys to check later. But it's just kind of going over some of the things I'm talking about. Getting ahead of time, checking making sure if you can get if you haven't had a physical, get your physical before you go too, because you want to make sure you have current information on your current status, right? You don't want to be like, I ain't been to the doctor in a year and everything, you ain't had nothing, refills and none of that checked, and then you get out of town and you figure out, oh man, I really needed something, so a different dose, or so make sure your medications are up to date and all that good stuff. Real important. So for those who are traveling with chronic illnesses, high blood pressure, you are the people who need to make sure that you have your apparatus. So if you're a chronic illness like cancer or diabetes, or you had a CPAP machine, so if you got that kind of stuff, then you also have to not only make sure you have your medication, but you got to have your apparatus, right? So some people got to have high blood pressure machines. Right? You got to keep your blood pressure checked all the time. So that's an actual physical machine that goes around your body and checks your blood pressure. They make many ones now that you can travel with. If you're diabetic, you got to have your insulin and or your injectors, your pens, your whatever you're using to inject yourself. You got to have all that ready. CPAP. A lot of people are with sleep apnea, right? A lot of people have been diagnosed with sleep apnea. Y'all got that lovely CPAP machine. You got a little case for it and all that. Make sure you got the CPAP apnea machine. It's clean, because y'all have to clean those things. Make sure it's ready to go. So all those people who need apparatus, if you're on air or oxygen, make sure all that stuff is refilled. So again, these are to make your vacation a vacation, right? We want to make sure that your vacation is something that you enjoy. I also want you guys to keep in mind, just getting ready for your vacations, that it is supposed to be enjoyable and restful. Like some people go on vacation, they sign up for every excursion and they sign up for every tour, and they forget to put in downtime, right? Vacation is, it's got to be restful, right? Because you got extra stuff going on, first of all, that you haven't been doing. All of a sudden you're on this 5-hour excursion, you're on your feet. You ain't been doing that all day. You're doing tours, you're moving and you're walking long distances. So don't just go on vacation thinking just whatever, get your right shoes, but also make sure that you count in the rest. Like after you've been building the excursions, when am I going to just sit and do nothing? Yeah. And am I getting sleep? So all of these are kind of pre-mindsets you want to kind of get ready, because sometimes when you get there, and depending on who you're with, like our excursion, we were in Jamaica and we had something to do every day. I didn't know that. And what did I have to do?
Well, you had to opt out of some of that, right? Like, but you took, you made a wise choice. Like, when your body's tired, like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to do that one. So
I had to rest.
You did.
What was
for
not
sure.
built into our 5-day Jamaica excursion was rest.
It's actually 10 days. You had 3 in Miami, 5 in Jamaica, 3 more. I mean, so it's a lot, when you think about it.
And we didn't build in rest.
Right.
So you have to build in rest. I did. I was like, no, I'm not getting up at crack of dawn. No, I'm going to sleep in. No, I'm not going on this tour. And I had to make a conscious decision, because if I was on everybody else's schedule, I would not have any rest time. We literally was like the 4th day in of that 10-day excursion that I said,
right. Yeah.
When I'm a rest, like I can't refill.
You got to recharge at some point.
Yeah. So just be prepared. It's just like the old motto: be prepared. Get your mind right. Make sure that you are packing for your lifestyle, your current lifestyle. Don't pack for the vacation. Pack for your current lifestyle and pack for your current health. And then keep all of those things in mind when you're talking about excursion. Excursion can be a thing. It could be something where somebody can get sick because you're just doing too much. Your body is not used to going on a boat ride for 4 hours. That could have been an issue for people. Or going on these hikes and these tours. They're long, man. You walk a long way and you get into them, you're like, damn.
Yeah, you didn't.
I should have bought a different shoe. I should have bought some snacks. I should have bought, especially diabetics. Speaking of snacks, I'm just getting back to those people who are diabetic. You guys know you have to keep your snacks ready. So pack all those things. Because if you're going to different places, they might not have those little favorite snacks or snacks that you need to keep on you so your sugar don't spike. If you need to take a little something in between with your medicine, because if you got to take medicine, sometimes you got to take it with food, pack those snacks. So that's another preparation thing. It's probably on the checklist somewhere. That checklist is small to me, but pack snacks for those who need snacks. Be ready. Just be ready.
You got to be ready ahead of time. And depending on where you're going, knowing they don't have everything that they have in the States. I go to St. Clair, Virgin Islands a lot. Number one, what you said about time change, there's a 2-hour time change certain parts of the year. Some people aren't aware of. They have a lot of American, services and products and things, but sometimes they run out because it's an island, so they don't have. It's not all plentiful, and it's not like you can just get Amazon and get a Best Buy or whatever they call it, DoorDash, and just drop it off. No, it's a little different experience, right? Because you realize you're on a small island.
The CVS ain't right around the corner.
No, it's got to be flown in literally.
Literally.
And it only comes in once or maybe twice a day, and that's it. So you just got to be aware of those things.
Yeah, where you're going. So again, being prepared is just like, check out the destination where you're going to see if they have pharmacies closed, or is it really rural? Is it really islandy? If you're doing a all-inclusive, check and see if the all-inclusive, what's their medical thing? Like if you get sick, even in an all-inclusive, what are you going to do? I mean, because all of us can get sick, even if we're on medication or not. There's a lot of bugs out there. There's a crazy, right now, a crazy stomach bug going around in all these different states. They're linking it back to lettuce, but you don't know that until you eat them. Then all of a sudden you on an island somewhere and you're deathly sick and you got this bug and you got this virus. What are you going to do? Do you even have basic like Pepsid or antacids or Tums on you, right? Because sometimes it just takes some homemade stuff. Some medicines you have at home, but you ain't at home. Because I'm real good about going in my little medicine cabinet and getting something for an upset stomach, getting something for allergies and that kind of stuff. If you don't pack all of that stuff and you're just out on an island somewhere, you may not have that available. So be prepared, be prepared.
What you're talking about is so important, especially, and it could be a lot of places where you go, but getting sick when you're on vacation is not fun.
No.
And there's a thing called medical tourism, something you should definitely look into, because especially people go to Jamaica or some other places, any kind of international location. Does your insurance translate with you? There's a lot that you need to consider if you do get a point where you need medical attention, because it's a different experience and not all your information is going to travel with you. I think it's so important to understand that.
Yeah. So check your own insurance. That's what he said. You check your own insurance to see if you have international travel insurance. But most of the time you can buy medical insurance. People don't really realize you can just, and it might be around $100, but it's well worth it because it you can read them. It's different levels actually. So the cheaper level covers basic stuff, but then there's always up to a little bit of like a gold level where no matter what happens to you, it's covered. And it might be a little more, but better safe than sorry,
You
when
got
it
to know
comes to health.
yourself and what's happening. But I've heard nothing but a lot. I wouldn't call them. I can see dreams turn into nightmares because you're on an island. Let's just say you're in Jamaica or something like that. Something happens, especially this happens in St. Croix. I will tell you that they have limited medical facilities. So depending on what your situation is, they're going to have to
Limited.
fly you out. And so they have to stabilize you for that period of time before they fly you out. Most likely,
Absolutely.
you might have to fly to Puerto Rico, or you're going to have to fly back to Miami, and it becomes an emergency situation. Very
Situation.
expensive endeavor. So be aware of what the capacity of the medical or the place that you're going to. What is their capabilities? What they have. Normal everyday stuff, yeah, they can handle that. But if you get into a chronic situation, a crisis situation, you just got to be aware of those things and just be prepared, as you're saying.
Yeah, be prepared. You just don't want to get caught slipping, especially if if you're dealing with stuff, but you just never know. Like I said, this virus that's going around. Any of us
Mm-hmm.
can go somewhere in an airport or eat a salad. And I'm all about my salads. Luckily they
Yeah.
said it's iceberg and it's not my leafy greens, but you never know. You can
You
get
never
just
know.
airport food. There's a lot of people traveling out of different countries, and COVID is still out there. I just want people to realize my friends just got off of a cruise, and 3 of them caught COVID. 3 other family members. And so it's still out there. It's not a winter thing. I think people think of COVID winter thing. It's not like the flu. It's those symptoms, but COVID is a airborne virus that is contagious. As y'all remember, we shut down for COVID. We kind of
Yeah.
morphed into now we're just living with COVID, but COVID is still out there. So again, if those symptoms that you don't remember, the loss of taste, it's like flu-like symptoms with the cough and the body aches and feeling crappy. But it's
Mm.
that loss of taste and smell.
Yeah.
And if it lingers on, that kind of stuff, it's something a little different about that flu bug for you. It might be COVID. So go ahead and take that COVID test because COVID is contagious. So
Right.
again, as you're traveling with family and all that, the reason why they all 3, one got it, and then they're traveling together, and then 3 out of the maybe 6 got COVID. So COVID's out there. Remember that. So safeguard, safeguard, safeguard. As much as you can, and murder mask. Don't be scared to mask up.
Yeah.
I'm proud of those people who are still in crowds masking up because people forgot about masking. Demasker. I was like, look, mask up and give me 6 foot. I was all about.
Give me
Remember
6
the
feet.
6 foot?
Yeah, you see people there have masks,
Yeah,
especially on airplanes.
should
And
be.
if they know
How
they're
close
sick,
you
they
are on
don't want to get
airplane.
someone else sick, so they'll mask up. I mean, just gotta be aware of yourself. What is your medical condition? What you don't want to be susceptible to. Remember, you're traveling. You could be from people from all over the world, and you just
Yeah,
don't know what you're being exposed to.
absolutely. Well, I'm going to pass it on to you, Grant. We're kind of getting into, we can dissect the preparation to death. But just before we move out of the health seat, I just want them to be aware of certain ways you travel. You're going to have to for different things. So air travel is all about compression and air pressure. So if you are those people who need compression socks, that's the kind of stuff you might need for travel. Even in a car because you're sitting down long distance. So compression and all those kinds of stuff. You have all of those things ready. And just think about how long you're going to be sitting, how long you're going to be walking, how long you're going to be moving, and get yourself dressed accordingly. And bring all those things: compression socks, dizzy medicines, sleep aids, sleep apnea. Basically, you're ready with all your stuff.
Yeah, get what you need. You have to bring what you need to be comfortable. You're going to have a good time, but at the same time, it's always best to be prepared. And when it comes to from a wealth perspective, think through this because if something does happen, an emergency does happen, how is that going to adversely affect you? What a lot of people don't do or don't have access to. That's why I really liked what we had one of our guests on, Corlette, talked about the RM2.ai app, meaning you carry your electronic record with you. So if something does happen, they can easily access what your vitals have been over a period of time so they can help you get stabilized depending on what the situation is. And that could be just as easy as going to Des Moines as it is going to some place like Jamaica or Dominican Republic
Yeah.
because we don't carry our record with us. And then it's not trial and error. Let me tell you, when it's trial and error in a medical facility, it can get very, very expensive depending on what the situation is. And you say, yes, I have medical insurance. Then you find out your deductibles. We've talked about this. Also, yeah, you got $1,000 deductible. So that's $1,000 out of your pocket before you even did anything. And most of that is eaten up and them doing trial and error instead of getting to you quickly. A lot of times in a medical situation, time is very important. So think about these things now, what's available to us that wasn't before. You've got a pacemaker, you've got certain things that you're constantly being monitored for or should be monitored for. Think about how can I take that with me? What can I invest myself in? Whether it's even a Fitbit, something that says that has my numbers. Tisa always says, know your numbers, know your numbers. So if you're out there on the beach, somewhere, you're doing things that you normally don't do, and that you're, running around, you're chasing your grandkids, you're in the ocean, whatever, and you see some elevations in your heartbeat, and your in oxygen levels. If you don't have anything that monitors that, it's going to be a problem. And then all of a sudden it ekes up into a crisis mode. And then, you just don't want to be trapped from a wealth perspective because of your health, right? So to what Tisa said, you want to have that emergency fund available. What do I have access to? You don't always carry, so much American dollars with you. You might need some local currency depending on what the situation is, and then have access to electronic funds if that is all. And also always have your emergency numbers. Who can I contact? Now, I'm a person, I like to travel someplace where I know the locals. That's just my thing. And so I get a local experience. Not everybody has that, but try to, have somebody that knows who you are and they can get in contact with you. And then they can get in contact with someone that has access to whether if funds are needed for this or that in your situation. I think is very, very important. Now, what Tisa's always saying, Grant, give them some tips. Like, well, you got to budget before you go, right? You got to budget before you go, and understand that if you set a budget of X amount of dollars and that it's on a credit card, you want to make sure that credit card is paid off within a reasonable amount of time, because the interest rate will eat you up. You're like, wow, I've been paying on this thing for ages, So you don't want to get in that situation. You want to save beforehand and always be prepared before you go, because you don't want the stress. When you go on vacation, I need a vacation from the vacation because it stressed me out. Financially, it stressed me
right.
out. And that happened.
You got a budget. You can't go on any vacation just like, hey, whatever happens. You definitely got to have your limits set, so to keep you in
what happens? You're out and you're all having a good time. You're at a nice restaurant. I know this happens in Miami Beach a lot. People go to Miami Beach and they get around some friends and everybody's having a good time. They have this beautiful restaurant. All of a sudden the bill comes in some ridiculous amount of money. He's like, I'm not trying to buy the place. I just wanted to eat here. So just be aware of what you're doing.
Oh yeah. And so when before that check comes, you better make who's paying. Are we splitting the check?
We splitting this?
We splitting it? Y'all just paying the tip? Who doing what? And that's just communication. And definitely do that when you go in a group, because you can bust a budget with a group. Because it's like, oh, I'll get this, you get that tomorrow, you get that. People start saying that you paying for, you thought was gonna be your immediate family. Now you paying for the group, thinking the group is gonna pick you up next time, and then that person bails out or don't show up for the
or you didn't check, and so I thought we were splitting it. I mean, there's a lot of things. I know in my last travel, I just came back from Miami recently, and I was showing people on some of the videos how to save money if you travel down to South Florida, how you can stay in Hollywood Beach. It's going to be a lot cheaper for you, how you can rent a car later. I paid for a subcontract, but I'm riding around in a nice Jeep, certain things you can do, or, what, this is a high expensive restaurant area. I can just go a couple of miles down the road and eat great. But you have to know the area. You got to know certain people. So do your reconnaissance. A lot of times the film, that's why I like to do those kind of videos. You can check YouTube and that type of thing, where you're going. And they're going to tell you, oh, you want to eat here, it's going to be a lot less expensive. You're going to stay here. They're giving you a lot of the heads up because they've been there. So do your research.
Yeah, do your research, budget your money. Like you said, travel with a checklist of not on your medications, but of those emergency contacts. Because if you're in a situation where you can't speak and whatever, and I'm a writer downer. I'm putting on paper. So I'm going to have probably a list somewhere in my phone or in my suitcase. So because a lot of times, people are real digital, but it's just good to have things written down. So if you can't speak or if your phone ain't charged, they can check your stuff and to be like, look, here's all my medications. Here's my contact. Here's my emergency contact. So just have it somewhere
Let me
handy.
tell you something. I did something, and Tisa knows I do this. Like I had Airbnb. What do? On my phone, I send her the codes because I might lose my phone. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how to now get into this place. So no one knows where I'm at, what I'm doing. It's nice to know that. And know your cancellation fees. If anything happens, sometimes you can just book a flight, but then something happens, you can then cancel that flight and you're not being charged. But you need to understand what those fees are. Certain Airbnbs is not quite like that. You might you might have to pay for the whole thing, but you did pay for one night. But understand those cancellation fees, so you get yourself in a situation you're not being overcharged for something that you're not going to use.
And cancellation fees for flights. Know all of your. We had to go through this whole thing where it is our airplane or airlines responsible for like overnight stays and all that kind of stuff. So really, when you're traveling with certain airlines, kind of know what their rules are, because if you get delayed, or they had a pilot not show up, or their plane is not in order, that's when they have to start giving you some gratuities back, making sure you get on other flights, make accommodations. So to kind of know what those are, ask ahead of time. If you talk to an airline stewardess, a lot of people don't. I like to book through the airline, so I know I can talk to a person. A lot of people go through third parties. You don't get that information that way. So I would say, talk to the airline. Just gotta give them what's their procedures if I'm delayed. What's their procedures if I can't get on the flight?
Now, Tisa, we know we had a real problem. We were in Jamaica. Had flights. We booked them at different times, like a month apart, and we did deal with this infamous former airline called Spirit. And we're in Jamaica where they're telling us like, hey, we need your return flight information because, we need this information to get the car to pick you up and that type of thing from this resort. And they're looking up our flight and they're like, well, we don't see a flight for you. We're like, well, what are you talking about? Of course there's a flight. You can't even come into the country without a return flight. So now as we unpack all this, we find out that Spirit's trying to book us on a whole nother different flight on a whole nother different day, in which that does not fit our situation at all. It was going to cost a whole lot more money. And you just can't stay in a foreign country, when you want to.
Especially Jamaica. They don't want you there. Jamaica's like, look, if you come in, you got to be going. I don't know if a lot of people come and stay, but they make sure as soon as you land and get into your resort, when you leave. How are you leaving? What day you leaving? What time you leaving?
Right.
You can't even start out and everything good. And they're already trying to get you out of here.
So we got Spirit leaving us in a foreign country just like, well, we're sorry. Like, sorry is not going to cut it. But at the end of the day, I had to rebook and use different funds to get on a JetBlue flight for both of us on the next day because it just wasn't going to work any other way. And you would hope, Spirit will reimburse you. All they're going to do is give you your money back. And that's all it is. Well, we'll give you the money back for this flight. Well, that doesn't solve the problem. So if you're not ready to absorb a financial situation like that you did not plan for, you could be stuck. It could have been a much bigger problem than it was.
Yeah. So that reminds me of, how people always have an emergency credit card, supposedly. This is the time if you go by that whole emergency credit card thing, this is the time to take that emergency credit card with you. Have it, have a balance of $500 to $1,000 on it. Something that you can dip into just in case those things happen. Plan for it, whatever. But that to me is an emergency. So it's like break out that emergency card. So if you can be prepared again with that emergency credit card, a lot of people say that's what credit cards are for. But if you truly have an emergency credit card, take it with you.
Well, and you use gotta know that's just not a situation that was planned for, and that's going to happen. So you have to know, hey, I need another 10% more, whatever it may be, just in case. That's my emergency fund. So but that really happened. That's a real true story that was recent. That occurred
months ago.
Yeah.
And luckily Grant had the funds, but you never know. You might have spent your money because we were leaving, right? So you might have already spent your funds. Some people just like, I got enough to get home. My money's gone. This is the last day.
I
And
gotta
it was just
explain that
like,
to Tisa. She's like, you know what had happened, right? She's like, what?
be prepared. That's all I can say. Be prepared and
Yeah.
expect the
But it didn't upset
unexpected.
our vacation. We were vibing really good. Everything was great. It was her birthday. How are you gonna mess that up? Because we flew out on her actual birthday. We had stuff going on in Miami. It wasn't
Yep.
like I said, it wasn't tour. We had cars and hotels set up in Miami for that time period. So it wasn't a choice to fly out on a different day. It just wasn't gonna happen. But yeah.
You got through it. So be prepared. All I have to say, we were prepared enough to pivot when it happens, and you never know. We had kind of heard Spirit was going out of business, but when you book stuff ahead of time, you don't think they're gonna be like, hey, we're going out of business tomorrow, so we can get your money back, and you're going to get yourself home.
You never know. Spirit was
us.
going to Jamaica to Miami all the time. You'd think that was not going to be an issue, but and they weren't bankrupt yet. That happened later. So, but they probably
they have been talking about it. They have been talking about it. So, so listen to your airlines and what's going on with them. All of these little, I don't even know if I think they're gone. Is there any more like Spirit, JetBlue, any more that are kind of
Frontier was teetering. I even had to pivot during that time for Frontier over to another flight because their flights got shaky. So my thing in my world now, I only work with premium brand airlines, American, Delta, Southwest.
Southwest has not failed me yet. I love Southwest, cheap, affordable, and they don't, they get you there. People accuse Southwest of being ghetto and all that. I don't care. Nope. They have never hit me.
No, and I've never got stuck like that. And
they have given me overnight stay. They did it the right way. Yeah, we got stranded. They gave us overnight stay. It was a Yankee hotel, but it was still a hotel.
They took care of it. So that gets us into relationships. Think about that. Yeah. What would have been our relationship? We get stuck in Jamaica, can't get out. It's a birthday. All of a sudden, her birthday becomes a very negative experience or memory. Like, I remember that. That was so horrible. And then I'm a part of that. And then, it doesn't work out as well. But yet, it did work out because I was prepared. The relationship was great. She had a good time, and then she wants to go back down to my home space. We got to get back down there, right?
No, it was all a vibe. Perfect birthday, really it was. And the combination of Miami and Jamaica, because like I said, Miami gave us the time to rest from Jamaica, which was perfectly built in. And even though we had a couple of bumps in the road, you got to be ready for bumps in the road. I'm just going to say with travel, it's not going to be totally smooth sailing. You're going to have something go wrong if it ain't nothing but a little delay in Chicago for 5 hours, 8 hours. It was nothing, a little delay in, Washington, they send you all over places. Be ready for those delays. People are having delays now, mostly for the airline issues. It usually it's like weather. It hasn't been a lot of weather delays, although there's been some storms going through. I take that back.
Not lately, but yeah.
Storms. But just be prepared for delays because it's almost inevitable you're going to have a delay somewhere because the weather is getting real volatile. Like it's weird.
Hurricane season is about to spark up for certain. I just think about that. All those things you were saying. If we got delayed, if we have to stay over a week, all of a sudden your pressure is going up. All those things that you have, whether you have diabetes, you've got high blood pressure, all these things. All of a sudden now, resources and all the other, and then then your relationships get strained because now you're scrambling when you're not, you're here for a vacation. Now you're in a stressful situation. It happens, but try to be prepared as much as you can ahead of time, and then know your situation, and know that you can work through these things together if possible.
Yeah, I would say when you travel with somebody, traveling really gets you to know somebody, because because traveling really helps you decide like how people handle different situations. You don't know a situation and how people are gonna handle it till you're in it. So some people know the different energy levels, right? Mm-hmm. So Grant's pretty high energy, I'm pretty high energy, but when I get in stressful situations, I tend to take a low tone. Something about me, like even in emergency, I think it's training over the years. I used to work for Boys Town. I used to work for all these different things where if you ran with a high level of intensity and didn't change the energy and bring it down, the shit's going to hit the fan. And so I learned to just shift the energy
Shots fired. Like,
Yes, because some people can't handle stress. And so they get stressful and they get mouthy and they get stressful. And then it's like, you're bitch, bitch. I used to be like that. But now when I get into stress, I try to woosah. Okay, because I know my triggers and I know my stress level. I know how I get when I'm stressed because I'm a real bitchy person when I'm stressed. That's just how it is. I know that about myself. And so I try to know that ahead of time and watch my tone and watch my attitude and I really have to work it during those stressful times. Like now it's been stressful. June and July has been real stressful. I've been trying to just like refocus the energy and stay on the positive. And you have to do that. You have to talk yourself into, working against the negative elements sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's time and experience, lived experience you've been through. You got to have some patience as you work through certain things, not get into the blame game. You kind of like, are we're in the situation together we can get out of this situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of how, I go back to what we were doing as we traveled and all that kind of thing. We ran into certain situations that we did not anticipate, but working together, we got through all these things. So it wasn't a big deal. And then to your point, you get to know your travel partner that you're with and what their hot triggers are. And, you mitigate a lot of these things. Like I said, when you're tired and you want to go, like, all right, this person's tired. Why don't I'll just, woo-sigh a little bit and just relax. And luckily we were in a place like, all right, I can go outside and go to the beach and run out there and you can, just chill out in the hotel, but you got to know who you're with, and you don't know. Like a lot of times people are dating and whatnot. My rule was always, you don't know a person until you spend at least 72 hours with them. You spend 72 hours with them, you're going to know the real person and not, the representative of that person.
Right.
Like you're going to get to know, like, all right, this person's a little, this and that. You just, a lot of the mannerisms don't
crazy. Or like, okay, now I know, and which is good, and that's all about learning, dating, and traveling, and especially when you travel. That's when you really learn. Dating, again, your representative can be up front and center. They got them. They pick them up in the car on the way to get you. So it's that spending the night. It's that early morning. If you're a morning person or not a morning person, it's that if you're a night owl or not a night owl, it's like turn the damn TV off and go to sleep, or are you like knocked out? So it's a thing. You're right. 72 hours of spending the night. You have to have those continuous hours, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. You don't know how another person utilizes the bathroom. It's little things like it's been 2 hours. What are you doing?
You ain't talking about me.
No, I'm not. No, of course not.
No, but you're right. You're right. Bathroom time. So yeah. So all this goes back to, I just want people, what's our takeaways from the wealth segment and the relationship segment?
Well, I think the biggest takeaways on especially on the wealth is you got to protect your budget, right? Understand these cancellation rules that you have, whether it's your hotel, your travel agency, whatever it may be. Plan for emergencies. Think through that. Have an emergency plan. Maybe you write it out and agree with everybody that's with you. Like if something goes left, what are we going to do, right? So consider travel insurance. I think that was a big thing that you brought up. Medical tourism is a thing. So travel insurance, you got to think about, again, the things that don't happen. Everybody has car insurance these days. Doesn't mean you're going to have an accident, but you have it just in case something does happen. So, and then also guard your identity. This is another thing we didn't really get to, but there's a lot of identity theft that goes on because you're in different places. You're showing your ID a lot, your passport a lot, and things like that. So protect your identity when you're out. So good travel plans will protect you, for your great memories, the money that you're spending. So that's going to be great. So what do you got for us?
Yep. And just some health takeaways. Again, if you're on medication, just make sure that you are so prepared and be over prepared in terms of your medication. Make sure you have all your apparatus with you. Like you said, identity, make sure you got your passport and your tickets and all of that in a safe place. It's kind of a dual thing, a safe place, but also where you can get to it handy, because they make you pull out your ID so much. I lost my ID because you had to pull it out downstairs, pull it out with your check link, pull it out because we are on TSA, the pre-check, pull it out then. And so have it at a safe spot, but a handy spot, so you don't lose it. Maybe, little pocket or whatever. And then check our checklist. Make sure you go through your checklist and have all the things you need, but just make sure you put all those other little things in. The other little checklist was, your chargers and your refillable bottles and stuff like that you don't think about when you travel, because you can refill your bottle. They don't like you travel with anything over, 3 ounces or whatever liquid, but you can travel with a reusable bottle. So, and all of the comfort things. Don't forget your blankie and your little head pillow. All of those things are going to just make your travel just that much more comfortable. When you kind of forget, you be like, damn, I forgot my snacks. I forgot. You can take snacks, right? Emergency numbers, have them handy. Let your partner know where your emergency stuff is. I always write mine down. He knows I keep written stuff everywhere. So if I have a notebook, it's in my notebook of emergency contacts, medications. I'm not on any, but any of that kind of stuff, it's always written down somewhere. And make sure, like we're in an electronic world, you got those extra batteries, extra cords, all of those things are just going to make your travel just that much easier, more enjoyable if you be prepared.
Yeah, I know. I like what you said. Go back to that phone number part, because I remember making sure that your son had my number just in case. Like, let's say you lost your phone's not charged. People get nervous about, well, I haven't heard from her in a while, blah, blah, blah. But then they can call someone that they know that's with them and then get the information. So remember that as well.
Yeah, and leaving all that information, like when you get there, where even Airbnb you're in. Now, my son is, if you have a little more responsible son that can really keep up with that, make sure your family knows where you're staying. People disappear all the time. Can I just say this, just on a safeguard? Yeah, people disappear all the time. And a lot of Black women and girls disappear. And we just had this young man out here, this young Black man in Mississippi, on a boat ride with a bunch of white kids, and disappeared. And they're still checking into this young man's disappearance, and it's kind of shaky. It's kind of shaky. His phone disappeared. Stuff has been deleted off his phone. They didn't call stuff right in a way to tell the man didn't come back. It's just all the things they should have didn't happen. Right. So I think if he would have been more in touch with his family, we're going on this boat, we're going to this island, maybe checking in. They said he used to check in, but he didn't check in. So again, people disappear. People are not always out for your best interest. So have people know what's going on around you. So if that happens, there's a trail. I post a lot because that's a trail, right? Just like they were trying to find this young man's post. That's the social media, is as much as you dislike it. They know I post a lot, and I'm posting. I'm in Jamaica, and all of a sudden I just stop posting. That's the thing, right? Like she was posting everything up until Tuesday. Yeah. And she disappeared. So just know, be careful. Be careful, stay with your group. Don't, as much as we like to be a part of the real cities and the real islands, some of these tourists, stay within your tourist group. Know somebody. If you know somebody, know them and leave. But if you don't, stay within your Airbnb, your all inclusive. Don't be wandering off with these natives. I don't want anybody disappearing. So just on a safety tip, be cautious.
All of that, and make sure if you are drinking, drink responsibly. That happens. You can't. My grandfather always told me, you don't want to be out of control in a public spot, and who can help you. So you got to have your faculties with you. Yeah. Or be in a safe space if you're going to let loose a little bit, but be in a safe space.
Yep. So in closing, I would challenge everybody to take 15 minutes to prepare before a trip, and that means prepare your body. Drink water ahead of time. Make sure all of your necessary things are with you at arm's reach on your carry-on, not packed away. And if you're traveling by car, keep yours inside the front seat at night, because you might get in a traffic jam or somewhere you can't even get out the car to get your stuff. So just make sure things are handy. Prep as much as you can. Communicate as much as you can with your partner and with the people that you're leaving behind, so that if anything goes down, they have access to you and you have access to them, and it's a safe, enjoyable trip.
Love it. Can't wait. This has been wonderful, Tisa. We're going to have a special guest next week. You got to tune in. We're going to have one of our professors from Morehouse College talking about medication and diagnostics and research and things like that. So we're going to give you some very valuable medical information. So make sure you tune in next week, Thursday, 10 a.m.
Yes. And upcoming events. So always plug Pink Lotus event. So upcoming events for Pink Lotus. First of all, congrats to me and Pink Lotus for getting put on the Mayor's Commission for 2027.
That's right. Awesome.
He has designated 2027 as the year of health. So this year, there's focuses on the year of the neighborhood and neighbors. And so, as you know, he's been campaigning, he's been doing all kind of stuff and getting neighborhoods connected. We're really trying to get neighborhoods back to neighborhoods. You know, where you know your neighbor, you're doing stuff, you're watching out for each other, you're communicating with each other to keep your neighborhood safe, working on issues within your own neighborhood, and all of that kind of stuff. So I applaud his efforts. It's been a good year of the neighbor. And as we transfer into 2027, it's going to be the year of health. And so you'll see me and Dr. Hughes from Douglas County Health Department will be collaborating and putting some things together for the year of health. But I just want to announce that because that's a blessing. So you'll be seeing us expand. So we'll have him, the mayor, on our health, wealth, and relationships. Right in January, we're going to start with mental health for January. And we'll put him on the show and we can kind of go through the year of health and how that's going to look. So I just want to announce that. Yeah. Secondly, Pink Lotus is already into the next fundraiser. Did the show a couple of months ago. We're just rolling right on into the end of the year. October 3rd is our 8th annual Pink Pancake Feed and Health Fair. Right. We want everybody to come out to Mandela Elementary School, Saturday, October 3rd. Get your screening, come out and get your free pancakes. We'll have clowns and music and raffles. It's a family affair, so bring out the whole family, mama, grandpa, get screened. We want kids to get screened, adults to get screened, older adults to get screened. This is a good opportunity to get some free screening in from people right here in our community. Nebraska Medicine will be doing the screening. We'll be doing some cancer screening from Charles Drew. One Stop Shop might be there to do some cancer screening. So stop in, support the cause, get screened, and have some pink pancakes and have some fun that day. Saturday, October 3rd.
Nice. I got a couple of announcements myself. You know, I got a couple of announcements that the 5-Star BDM is doing.
Okay.
Number one, a lot of people probably saw a lot of information I put out when I went down to Miami here recently. That was for Black Professionals Month, and it'll also be done during the month of October. This is a global event. We are celebrating Black professionals worldwide throughout the entire month, and we're taking nominations right now for anybody. And of course, I'm nominating a lot of people in the Omaha area that I'm aware of. I am part of the board for ICABA, that's ICABA, ICABA World Network, and I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for them.
What's ICABA stand for?
ICABA is International Career and Business Alliance.
Okay.
So nice. It's been a very good professional organization that was headquartered in South Florida for a number of different years. They have a beautiful online platform, and they have connectivities and networking throughout the entire globe, specifically for Black people. To get to know each other and collaborate with one another and create business opportunities. So that is going to be taking place. Get with me on that, or just go to blackprofessionalsmonth.com. Very simple. You get all the information that's there, and you can nominate somebody. If you know somebody out there, a Black professional that's really hitting it, they're doing big things, nominate them. It costs nothing to nominate them, and they get an opportunity to be celebrated on a global stage.
That's what I love about Grant. He came back out to Omaha, but I was like, look, I need to take Pink Lotus to a different level. You know, Omaha is great. I've been serving our community for 9 years, but we need to level up. And I wanted to get with other Black people that are down for the cause, is what I'm saying. That are down for, trying to get these disparities under control, down for health and wealth and relationships that are just more than just right here, but just are for all of us as a culture, all of us as individuals. Yeah, I love it.
And then another thing we have right here in Omaha, we are kicking this off with Omaha 100. That is going to be our Breakthrough 402 Omaha AI Marketing Accelerator. I'm very happy to announce that. Right now, it's open to the public. You can come to our wait list and get one of the scholarships that are available. So there are scholarships available. That is a $2,500 opportunity for the right business. If you're looking to accelerate your business utilizing AI, this is the way to do it. This is a 8-week accelerator, so it takes 8 weeks to complete this. This is the same people I work with in the Miami area that got recognized during the Biden administration for the small business SBA for the success that we did. We trained over 7,000 businesses all the way from COVID all the way to now how to utilize digital platforms to increase revenue. So this is a big, big deal. So not just teaching you AI for AI's sake, I'm teaching you how to actually create revenue, profit, and opportunities utilizing these types of tools. So take a look at that. Go to 5starbdm.com. You will see it. You scroll down and say there's a business accelerator. Take a look at all the coursework, but go ahead and apply and be part of the wait list. This is going to be ongoing. This first one is only about 10 to 20 businesses, but we're going to do it cohort after cohort, into 2027, into 2028. So don't feel bad if you don't get into the first one, but you will get in at some point in time. So just want to let everybody know that.
Nice. Got it going on. 5-Star BDM's got it going on. You'll be hearing more about him in the AI world and accelerator world. That is Grant's field, AI accelerating. Don't be scared of the AI. It's so controversial, but I would say if you want to get ahead of the game, it's about using the tools and not letting the tools use you.
Thank you. You got to understand, this is a platform change. It's not just like using Microsoft tools, using Google tools.
Those are tools.
This is a platform, right? And just like anything else, it's how you use it. But understand these things, because I tell you, in the next 2 years, if you're not what I call AI literate, you will not be employable. So this is very, very important, to understand these things.
Yep. Become an AI expert on programming your AI, because AI is just like a program, right? You have to put information, you have to guide it, you have to program it, and so become that expert. So and reduce the fear. You get in charge and get ahead of it instead of being fearful.
Get ahead of it. Think about the internet was 25 years ago, mobile computer. I remember when I didn't want a mobile phone back in the 90s and early 2000s.
And some people still don't want an iPhone because it does too much, right?
But that's a very small percentage because it's connected the entire world on this small device that we all use. So again, if we don't utilize what AI is bringing to the table, the whole world is changing rapidly. And this is an opportunity to level up. To Tisa's point, we can level up as a business community. We can level up as just a community in general, getting on top of these things because it utilizes creativity. And a lot of our people are very, very creative, and then we can go ahead and amplify that creativity at a high level.
Absolutely. Sounds good to me. So join us next week for Health, Wealth, and Relationships with Tisa
and Grant. And remember to what?
Eat well and move.
Move. All right, everybody.
Get moving, y'all. Get moving, y'all.
Hey, thank you. Tune in again next week. Peace.
Imagine waking up with more energy, a peaceful mind, and relationships that grow stronger every day. That is the vision Tisa Harden and Grant McGaw want to help you achieve, and it all starts with simple, practical steps you can take this week. On Health, Wealth, and Relationships, every episode brings you real stories and trusted experts. Tisa and Grant focus on 3 tactical steps each week. Small, doable moves that protect your health, grow your savings, and bring you closer to the people you love. No complicated rules, just real progress. Try a clinic-to-kitchen swap to boost your energy. Start a money buffer habit that quietly builds your financial confidence. Or try a 1-minute exercise that helps you reconnect with your partner. These quick wins are not chores. They are steps toward a better life. People who try just one intentional step report more energy, less money stress, and evenings full of laughter again. Join Tisa and Grant. Start small, live bigger. Tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and subscribe now.